and welcome tonight. The Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, Mr. Mele Kyari, assures Nigerians that the Port Harcourt Refinery will kick off production by early August this year, while that of Kaduna will commence by December this year, 2024. As Nigeria battles the scourge of illegal mining, the Nigerian army says so far 387 individuals have been arrested in connection with the nefarious act. The Martin Amewole-led House of Assembly shuts down all expenditure of the River State governor as the supporters of Governor Siminalayi Fubara holds a rally in support of the state's #1 citizen.
On Business News tonight, Nigeria's headline inflation rate increases for the 19th consecutive month to a new 28-year high of 34.19% in June and worsened hardship in the country. And from Abuja, the nation's capital, Governor Usman Ododo of Kogi State promises to build perimeter fence for all tertiary institutions in the state following the abduction of students from the Confluence University in May this year.
And in international news from London, former US President Donald Trump promises speech focused on unity at Republican Party convention after surviving assassination attempt.
The Central Bank of Nigeria, the CBN, has given fresh hope for the nation's economy, reassuring citizens that Nigeria is emerging stronger from her economic doldrums. The Deputy Governor in charge of economic policy at the Apex Bank, Mr. Mohammed Abdullahi, stated this when he represented the CBN Governor during an emergency session of the National Assembly Joint Committee on Finance. Meanwhile, the Group CEO of NNPC Limited, Mr. Mele Kyari, explained that the Port Harcourt Refinery will kick off production by early August this year, while that of Kaduna will commence production by the end of this year, precisely in the month of December. Our National Assembly correspondent, Gloria Umezoke, reports.
The current economic hardship and the growing impact on Nigerians necessitated this emergency session summoned by the National Assembly Joint Committee on Finance. Crucial stakeholders such as the Central Bank of Nigeria, some members of the nation's economic management team, as well as the Group CEO of NNPC Limited, appear before the committee to give explanation regarding the state of the nation's economy.
We look forward to the NNPC providing clarity on the issue of refinery refurbishment and commissioning and help us formulate actionable strategies as legislators for economic recovery and growth.
To these mounting concerns, the nation's economic managers gave assurances.
We are confident at the Central Bank of Nigeria that those challenging times, we've gone through the worst of them, and we are, as a country, emerging stronger. We are quite certain, Mr. Chair, that the tough decisions that have been taken over the last 10 to 12 months are addressing some of these challenges that have been there with us for decades.
A number of interventions have been approved by Mr. President. The very well-known ones were the energy transition in order to deepen CNG penetration. The negotiations with the Nigerian Labour Congress has been ongoing to ensure that there is no further disruption in the economy, and one has to thank again the leadership of the National Assembly.
The nation's oil and gas sector, which is a major source of revenue for the government, comes under focus.
We're very optimistic that by December this country will be net exporter. That means combination of production coming from us and also from the Dangote Refinery and other smaller producing companies that we know are in line to do this. Latest by early August, the Port Harcourt Refinery oil will start producing product, and of course the new one will get to December, and Wari will also be in production. You know, I'm very optimistic. I don't have any confirmation this moment, so that nobody cuts me and say, "Oh, say this," we keep lying. So we're not lying to you, Mr. President. It's a technical process. With your best of intention, you can put debts on refinery startup, but it is when you get to startup that you see the real challenges, even for a new refinery.
We have a clear plan to see how we can get, 2 million barrels and more. And I believe that we need the support of all members of the National Assembly. We need the support of all Nigerians, to be able to achieve that one.
In response, the lawmakers lean on the side of optimism.
This is the only time we can all come together as Nigerians to give His Excellency the President all the needed support in order to get us out of the doldrum we have been. And you can see the indicators are showing that the economy is doing well.
The emergency session continued behind closed doors with the expectation that the lawmakers would provide legislative assistance to ensure that the nation's economy makes the desired impact on Nigerians. Gloria Umezuki, Channels Television News.
Staying with the National Assembly and at the lower legislative chamber, where the Niger Army says it has so far arrested 387 individuals in connection with illegal mining. The Chief of Defense Staff stated this through his representative at a public hearing organized by the House of Representatives Committee on Solid Minerals on Illegal Mining in the country. Meanwhile, the House of Representatives Committee on Public Procurement says it will not hesitate to invoke its legislative powers against government entities who disregard its invitations. Our National Assembly correspondent Terry Kumi reports.
The House of Representatives Committee on Solid Minerals begins its investigative hearing into illegal mining activities across the country. The lawmakers are worried about the negative impact of illegal mining.
The Parliament is deeply worried about the loss of revenue through unregulated and illicit mining operations, with the federal government disclosing that unlawful mining costs the country a whopping sum of $7 billion each year.
I think a lot of the challenge has to do with leadership, and if we cannot take decisive steps, in spite of all that we are doing now, even if we have to shut down any form of mining in these areas for a year, in the interest of Nigeria and Nigerians, there will be nothing wrong with that.
The security agencies present outline their actions so far to address illegal mining.
From December to date, we've arrested 387 individuals in connection with illegal mining. We also have vehicles and also some of these these minerals that were arrested, which were handed over as exhibits to those agencies for them to be prosecuted.
The government needs to, like I said, show that willpower that they actually want to tackle this thing by ensuring that anybody, no matter how highly placed, that is involved in illegal mining faces the books accordingly.
As part of measures to curtail illegal mining, the committee is also holding this hearing to amend the Niger Minerals and Mining Act and the Niger Solid Minerals Development Company Establishment Bill. Meanwhile, in another committee room, the chairman of the Public Procurement Committee talks tough as it holds a public hearing on a bill to amend the Chartered Institute of Purchasing and Supply Management Act 2007.
I wish to sound a note of warning to all government procuring entities who are in the habit of dishonoring parliamentary invitations to kindly desist from such deviant behavior. Failure to do so, the committee will not hesitate to invoke its legislative powers.
The proposed bill is expected to uphold the legal and institutional framework for the enthronement of transparency, accountability, value for money, and efficiency as stipulated in the Public Procurement Act 2007.
Away from the Federal Legislature to the Federal Executive Council meeting, where the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, told journalists today that the federal government has distributed 20 trucks of rice each to the 36 states of the Federation and the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. This, he says, is the first step as government works to address the issue of food shortage in the country. The minister appealed to the governors to ensure the effective distribution of the grains to the most vulnerable in the society.
each of the state governors has received 20 trucks of rice for onward distribution to the most vulnerable. This is a first step, and government will continue, the federal government will continue to support all the state governors, the local government, all the subnationals, so that the hardship being experienced by most Nigerians in terms of shortage of food supply is bridged. Government will continue to do whatever it takes to ensure that Nigerians have enough food to eat. Of course, you also know some of the interventions that the federal government has done in the agricultural sector, boosting our own capacity to produce food, not just for our domestic consumption, but also possibly for export. And government will continue to do that. We know that this will not solve the problem entirely, but this is a necessary first step that it has taken, and government will continue to do that. And you can see the speed with which the federal government has ensured that this is done. Now, what we want to say is the federal government also wants to appeal to the subnationals to ensure effective distribution of these food items so that those that are most vulnerable have access to this commodity.
Meanwhile, President Bola Tinubu is set to meet with organized labor leaders in continuation of their discussion over the new minimum wage. The Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, said the issue of the new minimum wage was also discussed during the Federal Executive Council meeting. He said the Minister of Budget and National Planning has been directed to come up with a proposal for an amendment act to the 2024 Appropriation Act to be sent to the National Assembly.
The discussion was not around the figure itself. It's about the general parameters and the general principle of the wage increase itself, which the federal government fully supports. But federal government will have to do something that not only it can carry, but the subnationals and the organized private sector will also be able to. The president is deepening his consultation, and it is in that spirit that he met with the organized labor last week, and is also, as they requested, he will also meet with them on Thursday this week to finalize their thoughts, and then he will make his informed position known to Nigerians by also sending this to the National Assembly. And government has has directed the Ministry of Budget to also come up with additional 2024 additional support for the 2024 budget, so that any differential or any gaps that there will exist in terms of what existed before the 2024 budget was approved, and the supplementary budget, and also what the requirement is for now.
Staying with today's Federal Executive Council meeting, and Nigeria and the United Arab Emirates have signed an agreement for the resumption of visa issuance to travelers with Nigerian passports wishing to travel to the Middle Eastern country. While speaking while briefing State House correspondents after the Federal Executive Council meeting, the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, said the agreement takes immediate effect from today, July the 15th. The UAE had issued a travel restriction on passengers from Nigeria and the Democratic Republic of Congo on December the 13th, 2021, citing a surge in COVID-19 cases among travelers from the two African nations. In part two, after the break, the Association of Local Governments of Nigeria, ALGON, assures Nigerians that the financial autonomy given to the association by the Supreme Court will speed up development at the grassroots level. Please stay with us. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the News at 10, coming to you live on Channels Television from Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. The Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, Mr. Mele Kyari, assures Nigerians that the Port Harcourt Refinery will kick off production by early August this year, while that of Kaduna will commence by December this year, 2024. As Nigeria battles the scourge of illegal mining, the Nigerian Army says so far 387 individuals have been arrested in connection with the nefarious act. The Martin Amewule-led House of Assembly shuts down all expenditures of the River State Governor as supporters of Governor Siminalayi Fubara hold a rally in support of the state's #1 citizen. And the Lagos State government seals joint venture partnership with one of the leading automobile companies in Nigeria, CIG Motors Company Limited. The Martin Amewule-led River State House of Assembly has shut down all forms of expenditure of funds accruing to the River State government until the presentation and approval of the appropriation bill for 2024 to the House by Governor Siminalayi Fubara. This follows the expiration of a 7-day ultimatum given to the governor by the House on Monday last week to present the budget to the House. Our River State correspondent Charles Oporum reports.
A different plot takes center stage as the drama involving the River State House of Assembly continues to unravel. The Martin Amewule-led River State House of Assembly convenes. The Speaker takes his seat and the clerk informs the House that there's only one item on the order paper for the day.
That we cannot leave our states like this without a budget.
The leader of the House reminds the House that the 7-day ultimatum given to the governor to present the 2024 appropriations bill has expired, and he moves that the state's expenditure be shut down totally.
Mr. Speaker, it is time to declare a total shutdown of expenditure in the states because we do not have budget.
There is some deliberation on the matter as members weigh in, urging the House to shut down all forms of expenditure from the state's Consolidated Revenue Fund.
If the appropriation bill in respect of any financial year has not been passed into law by the beginning of the financial year, the governor may authorize the withdrawal of monies from the Consolidated Revenue Fund of the state for the purpose of meeting expenditure necessary to carry on the service of the government for a period not exceeding 6 months or until the coming into operation of the law, whichever is earlier.
I want this to be put on record that we don't operate a financial year of June to July. We don't operate a financial year of March till the next year. We operate January 1st till December 31st. The question is who has the power to prepare and present the budget? Mr. Speaker, we all know is the governor of the state. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the 10th Assembly because we are so compassionate enough, even after the governor failed to do so. We called for 7 days to do so.
I'll put the question so that members will vote one way or the other.
The House puts the resolution to a vote, even as the Speaker reiterates that until the governor presents the budget before them for passage and approval, there will no longer be any expenditure whatsoever.
Those in favor of a complete shutdown on expenditure in River States, going by the failure of the governor or refusal of the governor to obey the Constitution and present the 2024 appropriation bill, should indicate by raising their hands. Those for 22, against, nil. Abstention, nil. Honorable members, by your voting therefore this morning, the River State House of Assembly hereby declares a total shutdown on expenditure by the River State government pursuant to Section 122 of the 1999 Constitution as altered.
With this move, observers await a response from the state government in the twists and turns that have characterized the relationship between the executive and a section of the legislature in River State. Charles Oporum, Channels Television News.
Fubara all the way! Fubara all the way!
Fubara.
Meanwhile, residents of River State have held a solidarity rally in support of Governor Siminalayi Fubara amidst a fresh political tension that has enveloped the state. The rally was organized by the Widows and Widowers Forum to drum support for a man they described as a peacemaker and Democrat. The participants defied the rain to gather at the Government House gate in Port Harcourt to encourage the governor to stay focused on his governance. The leader of the forum, Victoria Osagio-Moniyi, urged Governor Fubara to continue his pursuit of peace. Governor Fubara, represented by the head of the service in the state, George Nweke, reaffirmed his commitment to inclusive governance, promising opportunities for growth for all residents, regardless of their origin.
4+4, it must complete. Our governor must excel to the 8 years. He's a peaceful man. He's a lovely man. He's a man that listens to everyone. He's a man that cares for the people. He's a man for the people. He's a man for the widows. He's a man for the widowers. He's a man for River State. That is why we, the widows and widowers in River State, we take it as our own mandate to say, our Fubara mandate we shall stand. Our Fubara mandate we shall. Our Fubara mandate we shall. Our Fubara mandate we shall. Because we as Rivers people we want peace. And we have seen that our governor, Siminalayi Fubara, is a peaceful governor.
I want to leave you with one small message so that you can go quickly now. That message is that your governor cares for you. Your song said it all. This kind man, this kind governor, another one, you know there. True, you know there. I never see him. Since I began work for government till now, I never see this type. I want to thank all of you for coming and to tell you that the projects of the governor are inclusive. He has projects that will cover every person. One of the projects that we can think is coming fast now is things about agriculture, which I know that the group that came earlier that you saw, they are women in agriculture. I want to key into those laudable projects of government. Key into them. Everything about River State now is orderly.
To the court where Kano State High Court has perpetually restrained Aminu Ado Bayero and 4 other dethroned emirs of Karaye, Rano, Gaya and Bichi from parading themselves as emirs. Delivering the judgment today, the presiding judge, Justice Amina Adamo Aliyu, further restrained the 15th Emir of Kano and 4 other emirs, themselves, servants, previous and any other persons appointed by them from parading themselves as emirs. Justice Amina Adamo Aliyu, while delivering the judgment, said the issue of evicting the deposed Emir, Aminu Ado Bayero, from his Nasarawa palace is a rent tribunal matter and should not be before her court. The judge then directed the deposed Emir, Aminu Ado Bayero, and 4 others to quickly hand over all the Emirate traditional royal artifacts to the government and the substantive Emir of Kano, Muhammadu Sanusi II. Justice Adamo Aliyu also said the State Assembly Emirate Council repealed Law 2024 was done according to the law as enshrined in Section 4 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. The Association of Local Governments of Nigeria, ALGON, is assuring Nigerians that the financial autonomy given to the association by the Supreme Court will speed up development at the grassroots level. The body, who made this known at a media briefing in Abuja, commended the Apex Court for the timely intervention through its verdict. They also promised to monitor the budget and spendings.
We recognize that more constitutional hurdles needs to be overcome. We urge the government to look into promptly. 1, scrap State Independent Electoral Commission, that is the SEC, and empower INEC to conduct uniform election for the 774 local governments across the country and mirroring the 4 years tenure of State and federal offices. Remove Section 7 and 8 from the Constitution. The Algon BOT is committed to supporting the federal government in ensuring the 774 local governments are accountable to the people. We encourage all Nigerians to participate actively in this local government's affair.
Meanwhile, the Oyo State government has raised technical and legal committees to critically examine the Supreme Court judgment on local government financial autonomy with a view to making recommendations on the way forward. Governor Seyi Makinde, who convened an emergency consultative forum for stakeholders connected with local government administration in the state, noted that the meeting seeks to evolve with homegrown solutions to lapses that may occur as a result of the judgment. Labour leaders, the Algon leadership and relevant MDAs were all present at the meeting.
Welcome the Executive Governor for your state.
Leaders drawn from the NLC, TUC, NUP, Algon, State House of Assembly and Suburb are here for an emergency meeting with the Governor of your state, Seyi Makinde, and officials of the state government.
Major stakeholders.
The meeting is to discuss the July 11th judgment of the Supreme Court, which granted financial autonomy to local government councils across the country. That the Supreme Court judgment could create in the lives of residents of your state.
I believe a lacuna has been created between that Supreme Court decision and the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. We all swore, I swore to uphold the Constitution, but the law is the law. If the law says, if the law is in conflict, it behoves on us to look for our own homegrown solution that will ensure that we have transparency, we can operate, and our people, because when two elephants are fighting, the grass will suffer.
Expressing confidence that despite the issues that the judgment will throw up, Governor Makinde says Oyo State would emerge stronger after its implementation.
Oyo State will get out of this even stronger. We are people that we know what is good for our people. We can run our own affairs. The federal government is not superior constitutionally to the state government. Well, they have more resources than the states.
On his part, the Attorney General of the state told journalists after the meeting the government has set up technical and legal committees to examine the judgment and make appropriate recommendations.
The meeting today was to discuss what happens to Oyo State government, to the welfare of the people, to the development of the people going forward. And committees have been set up, like I said. They have between 4 to 6 weeks to look into all the issues that may arise, because the judgment will not drive itself at the local levels. The judgment will not, deliver development by itself. People will still be involved. And that is what the meeting of today was all about.
The terms of reference for the committees include a critical examination of the judgment and its adaptation to ensure a seamless implementation to avoid negative impact on residents of the states. Bukola Oriowo, Channels Television News.
Still ahead on the news at 10, Nigeria's headline inflation rate increases for the 19th time to a new 28-year high of 34.19% in June amid worsening hardship in the country. That's on Business News. Please join us again. Welcome back. Now let's head to the nation's capital where Victoria Longjohn is standing by to give us the very latest from our Abuja studios. Hello, Victoria. Over to you.
Hello, Ayo. To more stories now. Senator Eyinaga Abaribe is of the opinion that the Tinubu administration has not been fair to the Southeast in his appointment, given credence to the agitations in the region. His statement comes on the heels of that of Imo State Governor who says the Southeast will not join the planned protest against the president as the region is satisfied with his leadership. Taking a cue from the situation in Kenya, Senator Abaribe appeals to the federal government to reverse the direction of the country and stop acting like there is no problem in Nigeria. He was speaking to our political correspondent, Terry Ikumi.
Out of 50 ministries, the Southeast has only 5, 1 per state. Yet, the Southwest has about 10. The other ones have about 9 and so forth. And so the question has always been this ethnicization of different things. Does it all go well for the country? From President Buhari, what we have seen has been an ethnicization of the powers of the federal government. And of course, Buhari took it one step further. And what we have seen with the Tinubu government is also another step forward. It's not good for the unity of the country. If you now say that whenever anybody that comes from any state, any place comes into office, the first thing he will do is to appropriate everything to his area. So what are you telling the rest of the people? I'm also using this opportunity to plead with the federal government. We need to reverse the way we are going. We just seem to act as if there is no problem.
For the full interview, please watch Political Paradigm on Tuesday at 2 p.m. and 11 p.m. Over to Kogi State now, where the Governor Usman Ododo is promising to immortalize the students of the Confluence State University who were killed by kidnappers in May this year. Governor Ododo said this when he met with some of the students of the institution who were rescued from the abductors. The news of the abduction of students of the Confluence State University, Kogi State, first broke out on the 10th of May 2024. The state government confirmed the incident, which occurred while the students were preparing for the examination. 3 days later, the Kogi State Commissioner of Police, Mr. Bertrand Onoha, announced the rescue of some students by the joint security agencies in the state. Further joint security efforts led to the rescue of other students, while 2 of the kidnapped students were killed by the abductors. Governor Ododo visits the institution to officially meet with the rescued students and the management of the institution.
They also continue to rest in peace.
After observing a minute's silence for the 2 students killed, Governor Ododo promised to complete the perimeter fencing of the university within 16 weeks, in addition to making education accessible to the young people in the state.
We are not only going to construct perimeter fencing, we are going to secure all our institutions with standard and the latest security gadgets. We have sent so many people to come and take the stock and the assessment of these institutions, not only this, Prince Abubakar University, Kogi State University, and that of Polytechnic.
The Kogi State Commissioner for Education, in his address, commends the governor for the decisive steps taken to rescue the abducted students.
If all the students that were kidnapped were never rescued, I am sure no parent will want their child to come back to this school again. And it will have also affected the new admission that is going on, where we are expecting another set of students to be enrolled.
The governor is promising to immortalize the 2 students killed, while promising to ensure that such incident does not repeat itself in the school. And President Bola Tinubu has approved the immediate reinstatement of Professor Nenibarini Zabi as the project coordinator of the Hydrocarbon Pollution Remediation Project, HYPREP. Now, according to a statement by the Special Advisor to the President on Media and Publicity, Mr. Ajuri Ngelale, the President reached the decision following a performance review of the HYPREP project coordinator and concludes he is fit to discharge his functions in accordance with the regulations governing the execution of the project. Meanwhile, Ogoni youth and leaders have expressed gratitude to the President for reinstating Professor Zabi as the coordinator. Earlier today, over 20 youth groups gathered in Port Harcourt, the River State capital, following the announcement to applaud Professor Zabi's leadership qualities and pass the vote of confidence on him. The President had initially approved the appointment of Mr. Olufemi Adekombi to replace Professor Zabi as a new project coordinator for HYPREP, a move that was criticized by the Movement for the Survival of Ogoni People, MOSOP. The United States government has signed educational partnerships with 3 Nigerian universities, a historic feat happening as the partnership between Lagos and Atlanta turns 50 this year. This historic event took place at the University of Lagos, Akoka, today, attended by Spelman College President and member of the U.S. President Advisory Council on African Diaspora Engagement, Dr. Helen Gale. The Vice-Chancellor of the University of Lagos, Professor Folashade Ogunshola, Dean of the School of Management and Social Sciences at the Pan-Atlantic University, Dr. Olushola Oni, and the Deputy Vice-Chancellor at the Lagos State University, Professor Adenike Boyo. In her address, Dr. Gale says the diaspora has always been central to students' educational development, especially historically black colleges and universities. As for Vice-Chancellor of the University of Lagos, knowledge sharing with other universities will speed development. And that's it from the nation's capital. It's now back to you, Ayo, for the rest of the news at 10.
Many thanks, Victoria. The Oba of Benin has received 2 looted artifacts from an American university museum. The curator of African Art, Stanley Museum of Art, University of Iowa, United States of America, Corey Gundlach, who returned the 2 artifacts, admitted the university's use of the objects in the teaching of Benin history without the permission of the Oba and the palace, but then apologized on behalf of the museum. Now, these 2 objects, a wooden carved hen and a brass plaque, are part of the artifacts looted from the palace of the Oba of Benin Kingdom in the 1897 massacre. The Director General of the National Commission for Museum and Monuments was represented in the event by the curator of the National Museum, Benin City. His Royal Majesty, Oba Iwari II, in his reaction, says this is a great day for the people of Benin. The Oba thanked all who came to witness the event, including the governorship candidate of the All Progressives Congress and other members of the party. The Lagos State government has formally sealed a joint venture partnership with one of the leading automobile companies in Nigeria, CIG Motors Company Limited. The governor of Lagos State, Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu, says the partnership, which signals efforts by his administration to redefine road transportation, will also contribute to the growth of the state gross domestic product. On her part, the chief executive of CIG Motors Company Limited, Chief Dana Cheng, says the addition of 5,000 brand new vehicles to the Lagrid e-hailing platform is a testament to the company's target of XVY.
The governor of Lagos State and his deputy are playing host to the Chinese Consul General in Lagos. A high-profile delegation from CIG Motors, automobile industry players, top representatives from Ibile Holdings all gathered here to witness the official signing ceremony of a joint venture partnership between the Lagos State government and CIG Motors. In her opening remarks, the Chinese Consul General highlights the strategic diplomatic friendship China shares with Nigeria.
We just want to show you that China is really the real friend, the best partner of Africa, of Nigeria, of Lagos.
Next, the chairman of CIG Motors, Chief Dana Cheng, outlines the company's vision.
in the next 3-5 years, we want to make this project contribute at least 1% GDP for the President Tinubu's mission, 1 trillion.
Mr. Governor.
The Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu delivers the keynote address, which highlights the achievement of the administration in transitioning to CNG, while also giving a breakdown of the public-private partnership.
Today, we've used our investment outfit called the Ibile Holding in the acquisition of 5,000 new vehicles in our lag ride model. The phase 1 of it will first to see a 2,000 coming, and in that 2,000 we'll be having electric vehicles. That has been the conversation, and also CNG, vehicles.
And then comes the signing ceremony. Done with the signing, the governor and the team from CIG Motors took a tour of some electric vehicles. CIG Motors Company Limited started distribution and sales of electric vehicles in Nigeria in commercial quantity earlier this year. The automobile marketing and assembling company, by this bilateral agreement, says it will continue to stay as the leading figure in sales and marketing of electric vehicles in commercial quantity in the country.
Time now for some business news with Joker Rogers.
Thank you, Ayo. Today, welcome to Business News. Nigeria's headline inflation rate has hit a new 28-year high of 34.19% in June, maintaining the uptrend for the 19th consecutive month amid worsening state of hardship in the country. According to the latest report released by the National Bureau of Statistics, the figure, which is in line with the forecast made by economic think tank and advisory firm FDC, is higher by 0.24% in contrast to the 33.95% recorded in May. Key highlights of the report shows that increases were also recorded across the food inflation sub-index as well as urban and rural inflation on a month-on-month basis, while core inflation was unchanged within the period but up 7.34% year-on-year. And now to the stock market, which begins the third trading week of July in the green despite the higher June inflation reading. Willie Bong tells us more.
Welcome to the stock market report. Inflation data for June came in today at 34.19%, slightly above analysts' forecast, but a huge jump from 33.95% seen in May. And how did the market react to this? Clearly unmoved, as the all-share index rose by 1/3% to close the trading session in the green. A lot of pricing in the market has done there. Now, this turnaround in the market is largely driven by MTN Nigeria. The company's share price gained 3 naira to close at 203 naira. Now, banking stocks also gained momentum. They were also key to propelling the benchmark index into positive territory. Let's take a look at the figures. We see FBN Holdings up 1.57% today, UBA up 2.44%, GTCO following suit 2.22%. We also see Access Holdings with 0.79% uptick and Zenith Bank with a whopping 5.26%. That's the outlier there. Now, a lot of positive sentiments, investors demonstrating for banking stocks, especially as the companies continue with the recapitalization drive. Now, not a bad outing on the first day, I must confess, of the week. Fingers crossed, this momentum will continue even as investors digest the latest data from the MBS as inflation data and look ahead to how the central bank will react to this at its MPC meeting next week. And that's the stock market report. Will Ibang signing out.
That's Business News Tonight. Back to you, Ayo, today.
Thank you, Joker. U.S. Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump has picked J.D. Vance of Ohio as running mate. Born James David Bowman in Middletown, Ohio in 1984, he served in Iraq before going to Ohio State University, where he received degrees in political science and philosophy. In 2017, Vance moved back to Ohio from California, where he had been working in biotech. Here's Simon Pusey with more international news and around the world in 5.
Good evening from the Channel studio in London for your international news around the world in 5. Former U.S. President Donald Trump is in the state of Wisconsin for the Republican Party National Convention, where he's expected to receive the party's formal nomination for the 2024 presidential race. Following an assassination attempt on his life at a rally in Pennsylvania on Saturday, Donald Trump says he plans to give a different kind of speech and that he had been given an opportunity to bring the country together rather than focus attacks on his rival Joe Biden. 78-year-old Trump says he's fine after a bullet pierced the upper part of his ear. A spectator was killed in the attack, while 2 other people were seriously injured. The gunman, who also died, has been named as 20-year-old Thomas Matthew Crooks. The Secret Service has said there will be no changes to the convention security plan, adding that they are fully prepared.
This is a national special security event. That designation is the highest level of security designation that the federal government can determine. So we are confident in these security plans that are in place for this event, and we're ready to go. It's been an 18-month process. We've worked together over that 18 months to develop operational security plans for any and all aspects of security related to this event.
Meanwhile, U.S. President Joe Biden, making a rare address from the Oval Office, has called on the country to stand together and settle political differences peacefully at the ballot box.
My fellow Americans.
In a 6.5-minute address, the U.S. president said violence should not be normalized. President Biden will return to the campaign trail on Tuesday after initially suspending campaign activities following the assassination attempt on Donald Trump.
There's no place in America for this kind of violence, for any violence ever. Period. No exceptions. We can't allow this violence to be normalized. You know, the political record in this country has gotten very heated. It's time to cool it down.
And voters in Rwanda lined up at polling stations across the country today to elect their next president. The country's de facto leader since the end of the 1994 genocide and president since 2000, Paul Kagame, faces only 2 challenges after several prominent critics were barred from standing. The outlook mirrors that of the last election in 2017, when Paul Kagame dominated his rivals with close to 99% of the vote. With 65% of the country's population aged under 30, Kagame, who is running for a 4th term, is the only leader most Rwandans have ever known. Several people have been killed after a car bomb exploded outside a popular restaurant packed with football fans in the Somali capital, Mogadishu. The bomb went off on Sunday night at 10:28 p.m. local time as fans were watching the Euro 2024 football final between Spain and England. At least 5 people were killed in the explosion and 20 more injured. Al-Shabaab militants have claimed responsibility for the attack. Israeli forces have reportedly attacked 5 separate schools in Gaza in just 8 days, killing dozens of people sheltering in them. According to Palestinian officials, medics and rescuers, the latest attack struck a United Nations-run school in the Nuseirat refugee camp, killing at least 17 people and injuring about 80 others. Most of the victims are said to be women and children. Israeli forces continue to press ahead with aerial and ground shelling of several areas across the Strip, home to 2.3 million people, and most of whom have been displaced by the war. According to Gaza's health ministry, at least 38,660 Palestinians have been killed and over 89,000 injured since the war began on October the 7th. And finally, on a much lighter note, an England football fan who had Euro winners tattooed on his leg before the final says he will not cover it up and has no regrets. Dan Thomas received a tattoo of the tournament's cup and the words England Euro 2024 winners ahead of the final that England went on to lose 2-1 against Spain on Sunday. The 29-year-old, who spent 2.5 hours getting the tattoo, praised the team for reaching the final and says he's confident they will win the next tournament in 2028. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel studios in Lagos.
And thanks indeed, Teniola Oyetayo, our London correspondent. Sports is now as part of efforts to develop football at all levels in Nigeria. The president of the Nigeria Football Federation, Mr. Ibrahim Gusau, is pledging the support of the Federation for Women Coaches. The NFF is currently organizing an ongoing 3-module CAF C license coaching course exclusively for 30 female coaches, which includes former Super Falcon stars in the nation's capital, Abuja, in order to broaden their knowledge of the game. And Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez has received earlier today players from Europe, welcoming them back, of course, after their championship in Germany. That's sports news tonight. I'm Kelly. It's back to Ayotunde.
Production by early August this year, while that of Kaduna will commence by December this year, 2024. Well, that's it on the news at 10. Many thanks for watching. I'm Ayotunde Balogun. From all of us here, it's good night and stay safe. Many thanks for watching. I'm Ayotunde Balogun. Do have a good night.